My name is Geraldine McDonald. I am president of the Refugee Lawyers Association, and I've been working with Andrew. We've been studying the bill and producing some. We intend to produce some brief. One of the things that Catherine was mentioning was the right to counsel. And what Olivia was saying was about the minister saying, well, it's not going to be at the first level. I'm actually gratified to hear her say that, because my reading of the wording is that they've crafted it in such a way to avoid what the Supreme Court has said about right to counsel. They're using language that is just information gathering. And what that means is that they're going to sort of put it into it's just an interview to get information, there's no detention, there's no issue of credibility, therefore they don't have to have counsel. They can use that to get the fast track to the 8 days, because if you're asking for a counsel to be present, then of course counsel might not be available, you need more time. So I do believe that that is, I mean, and now it's been confirmed because the minister's saying that. The difficulty for claimants is that they come in, they're from countries they know nothing about the process, they don't know what they have to say. At this point, it's going to, what we understand, or we still have to find out, is that the officer is going to direct the interview, which means that the questions are going to be coming from that perspective as opposed to the claimant putting forward the case. But if they don't have access to help to talk about, to advise them about what's important to get across, what they have to say, a lot is going to ride on that first interview. And what I have seen recently is a statement from the minister saying, well, there's no prejudice at the hearing, which is, as he uses the word, bogus, because that whatever comes out of that interview is part of the process, and it's going to be produced at the hearing. And typically there's a school of thought which says that the first version of events is the correct one, and you do sometimes see that in decisions from the board. So if they're going to use that as, well, that's the first interview and then they're to a hearing, they do need counsel. And there is a real hardship and prejudice to people who come in and simply aren't aware of what they have to do. Others have talked about trauma and the effect of people who may take months before they can trust anyone to talk about their problems. So that's one thing. I do have a question for Olivia though. The minister has also said, he's sort of been threatening, if you've got the bill, what do you make of that? Like, what is he threatening? If they're going to can the bill, then how bad is that? I mean, what is his point in threatening that?
Well, I asked him point blank, if the committee removes the safe countries, just as an example, just take that cost out, how would he react? He said, oh, then you've done in the bill. Not acceptable. But what the committee can do, and we've done that not in our committee, but in some of the justice bill, the crime bills, there are many of them. What the NDP often does is to strip as many elements of it as possible, send the bill back to the House of Commons at report stage. At that point, then the Conservative either admit defeat, or they put all of it back in and we'll debate it one more time or two more times. And then if we can get the other parties with us, then the bill dies. So that's what we can do. The committee itself, the immigration committee, can strip different pieces of this bill, leave the appeal division, for example, but strip other areas out and then send it to the House of Commons and see what happens. That's what I'm trying to do.
And so his threat is really to try and warn you, don't take too much out of it.
The line that he used was, at this point is not acceptable. Maybe at a later point, if all of you mobilize, it would be acceptable.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go to the panel. Any quick words of wisdom or incitement?
It's a matter of coming up with alternatives and say, okay, Minister, we like this, here's what we don't like, and quite frankly, I think it's a matter of the issue of talking the Liberals into putting those improvements in the bill and trying to get something better than we have now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would try to go to the incitement category. I think in addition to the on-the-street grassroots organizing that needs to take place. Olivia has mentioned there's a real time squeeze here. I think in terms of thinking about politically, what are the pressure points? What are the voices, in addition to people on the streets, what are the voices that would convince Canadians that something is fundamentally wrong here? So I think of initiatives like trying to get as many, if one could, former premiers, former prime ministers to sign a letter. Trying to get as many recipients of the Order of Canada to send a letter. Trying to get as many faith community leaders to send a letter. So I think the on-the-street mobilization has to happen, but I think in addition to that, they're thinking about what voices will get attention, what voices will get a hearing from some of the people inside the bubble. Some of these other voices may need to be called upon.
I have to say this has to be public. It's a very good idea. But the right letters, they ignore them.
Well,
this has to be done as
Yeah.
publicly as possible. Official newspaper.
Okay, I think every person in this room has two things to do. One is in the short haul, which is get on to your MP and tell them what you think, or her, and talk to others. That's in the short haul. In the long haul, I think the most serious thing that's been revealed here is that long-established committee procedures, for example, have been totally squashed and ignored in Ottawa. And, I mean, it is the erosion of democracy. I mean, there's a long list of things that have been squashed, starting with court challenges. I was just at a meeting at City Hall today where at the G20, climate change will not be on the agenda, although every other country wants it on, but not Canada. So there's a complete control and no public debate on important issues. For your information, Alex Nev of Amnesty and Jerry Barr of CCIC have put together about 2 weeks ago a group of which I was one, called Voices. Raise your voices. They expected about 10 people at the meeting and 100 turned up, and many more brought in by phone. And get this down for Jason. So we're organizing, and it isn't just, I mean, the faith leaders have already written no response. I mean, you know, so that can be done, but it's the ordinary people, and what we're needing is insight to whatever.
Bravo, all three of you and all our speakers. Thank you so much. Rise up, audience. You took the first step by being here tonight, and we're grateful, and we hope that you'll take the next step and